So now that we've identified Jessica and the broader Coastal Plains community as a possible client, I think it's important for Susan to step back and consider culture as a significant complexity when engaging the community. There are various ways that Susan could consider culture, including traditions, values, family systems, and artistic expression. These reflections are worthwhile, but first Susan could perhaps step back and consider culture in broader terms. Defining culture can be tricky as we easily fall into traps of labelling through stereotypes. Susan must instead consider the community as unique, like no other, with their own distinct voice and their own ability to say who they are and where they came from. However, in considering this, we must understand that Susan will most likely be labelled herself with significant stereotypes, particularly considering the human services profession and the role that it's had in the past. This could link back to even invasion, colonisation, and the more recent church mission. In spite of these historical debacles, the government, who Susan represents, continues to attempt community engagement in significantly Eurocentric ways. So with this in mind, Susan will consider the implications of labelling herself and her profession as culturally competent. Now, cultural competence is something that we have all come to know as best practice in our profession. However, many scholars suggest otherwise. Research highlights that the language surrounding cultural competence implies an arrogance, whereby providers are all-knowing and all-powerful. Literature also suggests that many interpretations of cultural competence are one-dimensional, with limited consideration for individual and community complexity. As an alternative, the term cultural humility has been coined. This approach asks the practitioner to go into community with absolute curiosity and humility, and it does not revere head knowledge and facts. This philosophy thrives on self-critique and challenges the provider's inflexibility rather than their knowledge when struggles arise in community. With this in mind, cultural humility promotes institutional accountability, addressing power differentials. Were Susan to engage in cultural humility, it sets her up as a capable advocate for the Coastal Plains throughout her employment with the Department of Communities. Now Isabel is going to address some practical methods and theories that could enhance this approach.